New project in the shop. I kind of ripped this one off, stole it from Steve Ramsey. He made a picnic wine stand. I don't know if you guys have seen that. And it was a really nice project, great project. And Steve's got all free plans and everything. He's awesome. But I changed it a little bit, and I want to show you guys what I did. So if you go to Steve's website, I'm going to put a link in the description because I totally think he should get credit for this idea. There's plans for this wine stand. Now, I took those plans and I just slightly modified them. What I'm doing, this template here that I make these things all the time and sell at my craft fairs. This template I made based off of Steve's plans, and everything I need is right on here. So what I did was I glued up some 2x6s, and I glued them up so that they were, I think, 13 or 14 inches square. Now, you're going to cut this into a circle, so as long as the template fits on there, you're good. What I did different is that I'm going to make a leg stand so that this can sit on like a deck or in the house, and I think people like that better than the ones that stick into the ground. I don't sell a lot of those, and I have a bunch made, and I wish that I sold them, but I don't. These I sell almost all the time. So we're going to do that, and then as you follow along, you'll see the changes that I made and how this one's a little bit different. So I got the center, and I'm just drawing a circle on this as big as I can make it. And the template, I try to line this up with like where the knots are, so maybe I can take a knot out or accentuate a knot. So the template's a little smaller, and I should probably make another one, but I can get the job done. When I'm drilling these holes, I like to bring it down so that the tip, the center drill bit, just goes through, and then flip it over. That way I don't get the whole chunk of wood stuck up in here, and it makes it easier. Okay, so I marked on here which size hole goes where, because it wouldn't be the first time I made a mistake. In case anybody's wondering what kind of hole saws I use, these work great. They're Milwaukee hole dozers. So now we're just going to repeat that for the 3 1/4 holes. My bandsaw blade's not as sharp as I'd like it to be, but I'm hoping for the best. This is just 2x4, so. The belt was shot in my sander, so I'm putting a new one on. These things have arrows in them, in case you didn't know, to tell you which direction they go. I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but now that I know that, I check. Still tracks good. These sandpaper eraser sticks are brilliant. You just saw me using that quick over here, and it takes off all the stuff that gets gummed up in here. I use this thing all the time. I've had it for years, and it's still good. Maybe something you want to pick up. Okay, so back at the bandsaw, I don't know if you noticed before I put these little lines in here, this is where the wine glass is going to slide in, so we need to notch that out. And I didn't do it before I sanded because it just makes for easier. So I'm just going to cut those out. These caps I like to make 3/4 of an inch wide because that's how big the smallest sanding drum I have is to fit through there, and I can sand that all out easy. It seems like a lot of guys have these sanders. I know I really like mine. It's just convenient being able to swap these things around and have just the right tool that you need when you need it. Okay, this is where we start deviating from the original Steve Ramsey plan that I found online. This piece is going to be the base of my wine stand, and all I'm going to do is measure in 2 inches and we're going to make feet. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I have these feet laid out, and I'm going to take this lid from a spackle bucket and use it as a curve. And I'm going to draw the line just from one corner to the other corner. That one's no good. We've got to come up a little bit over here. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. That's our layout. So this is all garbage. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so on the bandsaw we're going to cut out this arc that we made. And it's easier to do this before the next part. Alright, so over at the table saw, I have my dado stack in, and I'm going to raise this blade up to 1/8 of an inch. That looks good. Lock it down. And what we're going to do is hog out the whole base, and that will create some feet that are 1/8 of an inch. So we want to line up. Actually, at this time, we need to figure out which is the top and which is the bottom. And I'm thinking this is the top. So, we'll go a little bit more. That looks good. So what that did was raise up just this one part, so we have a little foot, and it's all part of the wood. If you don't have a dado stack or you don't want to go through the time that I just did to do this, you could just glue a little piece of wood onto the bottom and you're done, but this way there's no seams or anything. I think it looks nicer. I think that with a 10-foot 2x8, you can make 2 of these. Now we're going to need to drill a hole 1 inch in diameter almost through the whole thing. These base pieces, I don't like to go all the way through the piece, so I set the depth stop. If you went through, it's not the end of the world. It is the end of the world, however, on the top piece when we do that. Okay, you're also going to need a disc that's about 8 inches, give or take a little bit. I mean, it's not real critical what this is, but I make it 8, close to 8. And this is going to have the 1 inch hole drilled right through it. So over at the router, we're going to do a lot of rounding over. Both sides of this are going to get rounded, and we'll go through the other ones and I'll show you as I do them. These top pieces, you're also going to round every edge on both sides. Okay, on these bottom pieces that we made, we're going to do something a little special. We're going to put the top down, and we're going to raise this roundover bit up a little bit. Let's see how that looks. When I raised that roundover bit up, I created a little bit of a lip on here, and it just makes this space look a little bit better. For the leg of this thing, I have 2 different pieces. This one's about 5.5, and this one is, I think, 16. Let me double check. 17. 17 inches, 5.5 inches. They're 2x2. These are actually 2 1/8. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. Because I glued the 2x4s together, I tried to keep the seam in the center, and I'll come back to that, but when I do that, you'll see. So I'm going to drill a hole about 1.5 inches down on each end of all of these. So I got my depth stop set, and I'm going to start drilling. We got holes drilled in both ends of these. We already put the holes in those, so now we're going to use 1 inch dowels, if you didn't already figure that out, to put all this together. So I'm going to cut the dowels to length, and then I think we're ready for, we're almost ready for assembly. I got to do one more thing to this. This bit here has a little bit of a V-groove built into it. It's a flush trim bit with a V-groove. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to run that V-groove down the seam, or actually the center, of the 2x2 pieces for the legs. But I'm going to do it on all 4 sides, and that will hide the seam between the 2 pieces of wood and create a little decorative edge. Very simple detail, takes 5 seconds to do, but I think it makes the work look a lot nicer. Just so you can see, here's the seam going down. I'm going to run this through the router on all 4 sides. Okay, so now you can't tell that if this is 2 pieces of wood or not because I did it on all 4 sides. So it hides it. I finally got all the pieces put together. I think it's taken me 3 days now with all the interruptions. So we're just going to go through how I'm assembling this. We have our base piece, and I cut a dowel 1 inch that's going to go into that hole. Obviously we're going to be gluing everything. So then we take our 17-inch piece that has 2 holes on each side, and you want to make sure that you put glue on the flat side here as well. Not too much. And then line this up and kind of square it, you know, just by eyeball. And then we put our disc. Make sure that when you're doing this, you're looking at the grains and how this is going to all go together so that the good sides are always visible. Then we're going to take this piece, and because we put those grooves in there, we want to make sure that this all lines up nice and straight. Forgot to put glue on the bottom. That looks good. Another dowel. And we put the top on. Now, the top, I like to try and line it up so it doesn't look like it's out of square. So I have the big hole kind of in line with that, and these holes are in line with this groove. So that's it. That's the whole wine stand. After the glue dries, I'll put some stain on this and then a clear coat. Usually I'll put an exterior clear coat because most people are going to use this like out on their decks, and you know they're not bringing it in. I'm going to put a weight on top of this and let this dry. So what will happen is your wine bottle will go in here and the disc holds it up, and then your wine glasses go in here. Once this is done, I'll take some pictures and I'll show you how this all looks. Even in the cold of winter, I can work out in my shop thanks to my DeWalt heated jacket. This is not a paid endorsement. I just want everyone to know that I can do them, should somebody want to pay me to endorse stuff. My cop friend's calling. Hello? Building. Needs to drop his wife's car off for an oil change. He's interrupted our special time. Now I gotta go pick up that friend at the oil change place. I swear. Everyone's like, oh, could you be do me a favor? Yeah. You don't sound like I'm doing anything. We're having special time here, and